In the words of the great Bob Dylan, you better start swimming or you'll sink like a stone, for the times they are changing. I will be honest, I almost didn't post this video. This is a tech channel, so naturally you are coming here to watch tech-related content combined with some bad humor and a New York taxi driver accent. And I know there are funnier YouTubers, better-looking streamers, creators who are clearly more original, and actual real programmers, but somehow you also decided my content is worth your time. So I thought it would be fair to share my honest take about the current software situation. So in this Monday morning review, we'll do something software developers are not supposed to do. We'll talk about feelings.
No! God, please, no! No!
Don't worry, I won't get all weird and inspirational, but I know this new software world feels like a strange place and we need to find a way to deal with it. I'm trying to play it cool, but this is pretty much me every morning opening the Software Sentiment to read the latest plan from a billionaire AI CEO explaining how I'll be deprecated in the next 6 to 12 months. Yes, the software world is in a really strange place because people collectively decided that the highest virtue in software development is producing the largest amount of code in the shortest amount of time. So for the past year, we have built an entire ecosystem of tools, methodologies, and LinkedIn influencers to encourage exactly that. Just a few short years ago, we used to laugh at those suggesting that lines of code is a good measurement when quantifying the software output.
Anybody who thinks that's a valid metric is too stupid to work at a tech company.
But these days, all those metric-obsessed, non-technical people are vibe coding their billion-dollar startups, and the lines of code is back with a vengeance. And now it is on steroids and it is calling itself 10x productivity. The results of this enhanced productivity are already starting to show. AWS is having AI-driven outages, which are blamed on human errors, GitHub can't keep up with the amount of slop it needs to manage, agents are dropping production databases on a monthly basis, and Microsoft is completely rebranded. All quality is sacrificed for speed, and the old move fast and break things Facebook mantra is now reimagined as simply break fast. Things are so crazy at the moment that people are claiming with a straight face that you are not supposed to write code anymore. So, naturally, this huge shift in mindset has left a lot of us developers wondering if we are witnessing the destruction of the software engineering job and the complete deprecation of our hard-earned skills. I am using LLMs on a daily basis when coding now, but if I'm being honest, the biggest impact I'm seeing is not in my software job, but in the type of content I'm creating for YouTube. There is a reason why most software YouTube channels are quietly transitioning away from very technical content to more abstract tech news. Here are some behind-the-scenes numbers. These are 3 of the more technical videos I produced this year. Each of these videos took weeks to prepare and produce, mainly because I'm one of those crazy people who still prefer learning the fundamentals of a topic by reading books instead of just prompting ChatGPT for 30 minutes. For these videos, I went through Linux in Action, the Ruby programming language, and Amazon Web Services Certified Cloud Practitioner. As for the results, these videos have less than 100,000 views combined. Compare these results with videos on general software commentary, which made 7 times the views. And if you really want to put things into perspective, here is my 1-hour front-end tutorial, which took more than a year to produce, was posted for free, and got only 20,000 views. Of course, views are not the only relevant metric on YouTube, and I strongly believe that chasing only views and profits will actually make your content worse. But these are the kinds of results we are all seeing, and they do explain why so much developer content slowly drifts away from being very technical. And here is what's really interesting. While technical content doesn't perform as well as it did a few years ago on YouTube, the coding learning platforms are spending big on promoting their services and apparently doing very well. So the demand for learning programming did not disappear, but we are now in a hype cycle where AI draws all the attention, and I know that it feels like we are all forced to play the game or be left behind. But here is the main thing I'm sure of. Nobody has any idea about where all this is going, and whoever tells you otherwise is lying. A few days ago, Bloomberg released an analysis stating that AI won't replace software engineers. So you get hopeful, but at the same time, you read about all the tech companies continuing to do layoffs, so you get anxious. And then you hear the Amazon Web Services CEO stating that they are hiring just as many software developers as they had in the past. In fact, Amazon is planning to hire 11,000 software developer engineers this year alone, so they believe that the developer job is not going anywhere. On top of that, one NVIDIA executive recently stated that the cost of compute is far beyond the cost of the employees, so the AI is now more expensive than paying human workers. So naturally, you get confused because of all the conflicting statements and reports. Your anxiety goes through the roof, and the fact that your Uber driving backup plan doesn't look that stable anymore due to rising operational costs and an oversaturated market doesn't exactly help. But here is the thing. This is just another hype cycle that feels like the end of the world, but this too shall pass. So the first step to keep your sanity intact as a tech worker these days is to turn down the noise. I'm not saying that you should bury your head in the sand, because the tech world is known for evolving quickly and you have to keep up with the news in order to stay relevant. But there are a few things you could do in order to maintain some level of mental stability while your barber and your gym bros are resharing Instagram memes about AI making your entire career obsolete. But before discussing coping mechanisms in more detail, I'm excited to tell you about today's sponsor because it's one of those tools that I'm actually using almost on a daily basis. Willow Voice is a voice typing tool that lets you speak anywhere on your computer instead of typing, which makes workflows faster for pretty much any engineer or creative that has to write specs, answer emails, prompt AI tools, leave comments in pull requests, or just get ideas out before they disappear. I don't share much about my video making process, but the first step in creating a new video is to outline the main ideas and the key concepts I want to tackle in more detail. This is where a tool like Willow Voice helps a lot because it's 3 times more intelligent than built-in or other AI dictation options. It also has features such as filler word removal, context-aware spelling, and smart formatting. And, of course, this can be used in various other tasks throughout the day. I definitely recommend using it when writing work emails. It's faster than actually typing, so you can now stop copy-pasting your ChatGPT-generated emails, because everybody knows those are ChatGPT-generated emails. Another key aspect worth mentioning is your data security and privacy. With Willow Voice, your transcript data is never collected, and it is only stored locally in your device for you to review. It supports more than 100 languages, it is optimized for whispering and background noises, and it works in pretty much any application on your computer. Please check out the link below to find out more about Willow Voice. Back to the video, the first thing you should do as a developer these days is slow the F down. It can be very tempting to stay glued to the news cycle, following every new AI model release and counting all the companies laying off people to increase their profits while blaming AI for it. And the biggest trap is to start arguing on the internet with people who usually have little to no technical understanding about the impact of AI or the future of the industry. As I mentioned earlier, nobody really knows what's going to happen, so trying to predict anything AI related feels like trying to figure out what I did wrong to upset my wife this time. For instance, I know Dario and Sam have no idea what their future is, but I'm pretty sure they are way more stressed than we are. Just a few days ago, Hugging Face's co-founder tweeted about running one of Alibaba's models locally on a MacBook Pro in airplane mode. And for non-trivial coding tasks, this local, extremely cheap setup performed very close to the latest Claude Opus service. So Dario and Sam have a way bigger problem than we do if an open-source model that can run locally on a $2,000 computer can compete with their trillion-dollar companies. As I was saying, nobody has any idea where we'll be in the famous next 6 to 12 months. The second thing you should do is to keep your coding skills sharp. I've been relying quite a lot on LLM code generation in the past couple of months, and this thing is like a virus. Once you decide to generate some code, you have no incentive to jump in and maintain or extend that code. So you get into this prompting mindset where you end up opening Claude Code, even for trivial tasks like changing a Boolean value. Coding and especially reasoning skills atrophy fast, and even though we might not know exactly what the software world might look like 2 years from now, I strongly believe that those who will be able to code, debug, and pretty much function both with and without an LLM will be the ones with a competitive advantage. On top of that, coding was a fun process for many of us, so there is no reason to stop doing what makes us happy. Which brings us to the third point on the list. Just avoid stressing too much about all these things. Read the news articles if you must, watch the YouTube content if you find it entertaining, and ignore all the unnecessary noise. The software world is an exciting, fun place, and I don't think that will fundamentally change anytime soon. So to sum things up, if there is one thing you should take away from this video, it is that we should all try to be more like this guy.